What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we're sticking with the West right now, doing the 30 and 30. For those of you that are here for the first time, welcome. The 30 and 30 is I'm doing a breakdown of all 30 teams and identifying their needs after doing some research. Got my baseball research book here and identifying the needs, and then whatever position we've identified that it's a glaring need or a significant need, I kind of go down what I think they should do, and then I flip it over and give you my predictions on what I think they'll actually do. So these videos are a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy them. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet done so, and hit that notification next to it so you don't miss it. And always look in the description down below. All the teams I've done in the Central are down there already. And I've got a couple teams already in the West, and then we're going to move over to the East after this, so don't miss out, okay? And that's always take a look, and I've got my MLB free agent predictions video and a bunch of others down there below as well. So with that, the team of the day is the Arizona Diamondbacks. To me, again, they're a team, and they brought in Madison Bumgarner last year. It's just kind of stabilized the rotation. He didn't have the best of years, but again, it was a kind of an anomaly year for everybody. Some superstars didn't play well, and some average players played like superstars. It was just the way that it was. So, we're going to go back to kind of I think. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of phased back in, maybe made it a 120 game season this year, and then once things are back to normal, which will hopefully be 2022, back to a 162 game season. But we'll see. It might be 120 games with half the fan capacity this year, or something like that, based on where we are with what's going on right now. So so we have to see what happens. But the Arizona Diamondbacks, I mean, they spent money, they've traded players. I mean, trading was it Marte, and then signing Madison Bumgarner. So they kind of, to me, they're kind of in reshuffling mode, but at the same time wanting to contend. But it's going to be difficult for them to contend in the National League West, because you've got the Padres, you've got the Dodgers, and those two teams right there are beast teams. They're just beast teams, in my opinion. Dodgers, obviously, the defending World Series champions coming into 2021, and the Padres are, kind of knocking on their door, trying to knock on their door. So the Diamondbacks have some needs. Needs to me is infield, like a third base or a first base, so somebody who's versatile, who can play multiple positions. Outfield are the two most glaring, and they can always use incremental pieces in the rotation and in the bullpen. In terms of like rotation, bringing in somebody like a Mike Minor will give them depth. And I don't see them making any flashy moves for pitching. Somebody like an incremental, free agent like that, I think would be a good move for them. And I think I could see them making a more substantial investment potentially in the outfield or infield positions. Personally, I think a good infield player would be Eric Thames, formerly of the Brewers and the Nationals, and he's got some pop in his bat. He's got some versatility, and I think he'd be a good fit to complement some of the young players and the veteran players that they have. Playing first base, potentially moving over, or even DHing or something like that, and giving them a little bit of versatility. And adding another offensive bat to the lineup is never a bad thing. But I could also see them bringing in somebody like, I think a good fit would be Jurickson Profar. I think he's a good fit for a lot of teams because he can play infield and outfield. He's only 28. He's not going to cost a lot of money. And he gives them a little bit of versatility. He's decent with the bat. He used to be one of the top prospects in major leagues. So he still has potential. And I think they would be well off to get somebody like him and or Eric Thames. And for the outfield, I personally think Jock Peterson would be a good fit. They'd be taking him from the Dodgers as well. He'd be staying in the West and stealing him from a potential rival. So he would really, really boost that offense. And if they make it to the playoffs, this guy's money in the playoffs. So, again, a change of scenery from. I think he's going to stay in the West Coast one way or another, whether it be in the American League or the National League. But I think he'd be a great fit for Arizona. And again, another veteran presence. He's young. He's going to cost some money. But, I don't see him costing as much as a George Springer will, or somebody like that. He's not going to cost as much as JT Realmuto. But again, Major League has been kind of financial turmoil now. They lost $3 billion in revenue since this whole pandemic hit. So we don't really know. We might be expecting teams to spend, but we might be surprised that, they make more minor investments and bring in incremental players. They might bring in 5 or 6 or 7 just solid role players for depth instead of one or two really expensive superstars. So we don't really know what the landscape's going to be, and it's just the way that it is right now with the way that the way we're going, and we don't know what's going to happen in 2021. So, Jock Peterson, I think he'd be a good fit there, and I think Eric Thames would be a good fit. Both of them would bring a versatility and pop to the lineup, lefty balance. So, what I think they will actually do. Okay, before we transition over, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification next to it so you don't miss out on a lot of great content coming. What I think they'll actually do is they'll bring in somebody like Logan Morrison, for the infield. And again, solid player, and he traded to the Padres, right, from Boston. Performed. He's been pretty legit over the past couple of years, so particularly last year. So I think he'd be a good fit. Again, staying on the West Coast, and bringing some of that versatility and that pop. And he's been a better contact hitter recently, got a better average. So you put him in there and give him an opportunity to either drive in some runs and do some other things. It gives them versatility. And versatility is not a bad thing, particularly with a team like a Diamondbacks who could, who could do well to bring in a couple of solid players like them and surround the young guys and surround some of the other veterans with players like Logan Morrison and some other guys that can give some protection, because just because you bring in a superstar doesn't mean he's going to change the story, the franchise's fortunes around. It doesn't, even if two of them, doesn't always translate to success. Okay, so I think a Logan Morrison would be a good fit there. In terms of outfield, I actually think Braun would be a good fit in Arizona. And he's with the Brewers for a long time. I think a change of scenery would be good for him. Even though he's kind of beloved there, he had made his mistakes, paid his dues, and he owned up to it, and so on and so forth. I think he'd be a good fit in Arizona. Again, another veteran who's been around for a while. He still has pop in his bat. And, like a combination of Braun and Morrison, you get one righty, you get one lefty. So it gives more balance to the batting lineup. And, again, two veterans who will not be very expensive. So it fits with a lot of teams, MOs of cutting payroll right now, or of, being a little bit more stringent with the spending. Teams are being frugal now, so because they don't really know what's going to happen. So bringing in players like this who are solid veterans, again, who aren't going to cost $100 million, but can still make the team better, is a wise investment. Now, I can see them bringing in a couple other players too. A Profar or another bullpen, a reliever, or potentially making a trade for somebody as well. They got some prospect capital when they traded away Marte. Not a ton, but they got some. So they do have a little bit of depth, but, this team could use to, and you never know, they might trade, one of their more popular players or one of their top players for some prospect depth and just gradually restock the team. But, they're in my opinion, they're not anywhere close to competing with the Padres or the Dodgers. So I don't see a major investment being made this offseason by the Diamondbacks. I see more incremental investments being made. And again, I think it's a good idea for a lot of teams to do that. And not only does bringing in a bunch of solid veteran players give the team depth, but it also gives you an opportunity to ease in some of your younger top prospects, see what the team see what they can actually do without having so much pressure thrown on them. A 20-year-old kid expecting him to be the face of the franchise, it's not always the easiest thing to do. It's a little unreasonable. So, I think they're in a situation by bringing in a couple of veterans, just like a bunch of the other teams, letting some of the young guys develop, complementing with what they have already. The team will be better, but I still don't see them going after the Dodgers and the Padres just yet. Now, crazier things have happened. You never know. Whoever they bring in might be, like the movie Major League, where a bunch of misfits just, gelled and worked perfectly. And if you haven't seen that movie, by the way, see it. It's awesome. It might work regardless. Sexy moves don't always translate to success. The flashy ones, don't always guarantee anything. So, that's my view on the Diamondbacks. Let me know what you think. We're going to stay in the West. I'm going to take a look at my book here and see where we're going to go next. Let's have a look here. After Arizona, we're going to go back to the American League. And we're going to go to Seattle. Talk about the Mariners for the next video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification so you don't miss out. Be safe and look out for each other. And I'll talk to you then.